I got a fever, and the only prescription is more spiral wraps. Specifically, one-handed spiral wraps. That's where we take this grip that we sometimes refer to as a meteor or two poi one hand and get both of the poi to wrap around the same hand and then wrap back out. I've gotten a bunch of requests for a video on this lately, so how about we go ahead and dive into it? And, special bonus, there will be a field trip involved. Drex here from DrexFactor Poi, sharing with you the love of poi spinning and flow arts to benefit your body and brain. And in this video, I'm going to take you through some pointers on getting down those one-handed spiral wraps. But before we dive in, I just want to give a quick shout out to the friends of the channel. Big thanks to Dark Monk, Fire Mecha, Flow Toys, Pyroterra Light Toys, and Ultra Poi for helping to make the videos on this channel possible. You can learn more about all of these amazing companies and the work they're doing to support flow artists like yourself by checking out the links down in the description of this video. All right, so cards on table. Your boys had a rough week, and I'm looking for something to raise my spirits a little bit, and it turns out that the National Botanic Gardens down on the National Mall have a rare flower that is blooming right now. I'm not even going to try to conjure up the scientific name for this flower on my walk here. I will go ahead and include a photo and the name in text, but colloquially it is sometimes known as the corpse flower. Basically, every few years one of these massive flowers blooms, and it smells, well, like rotting meat. But it's kind of a rare occurrence, and there's one blooming in DC right now. I've never seen one, so it seems like a good opportunity to get out and to do something a little off the beaten path. Because God only knows, nothing says cheering up like smelling rotting meat, right? So I am going to go ahead and take you on that journey with me, and along the way give you some pointers on how to get down those one-handed spiral wraps. So first and foremost, because it comes up in every single video I do about one-handed poi spinning, what grip am I using? So glad you asked. So I'm going to introduce you to a new naming convention for this, and it's going to center around the 5 fingers here, each of which I'm going to denote with a single letter. So your thumb is T, your index finger is I, your middle finger is M, ring is R, and pinky is P. Now, the grip that I'm using focuses on the thumb, index, ring, and pinky fingers. So I'm calling it the TIRP grip. T-I-R-P. So I am gripping my thumb end poi between my thumb and my index finger, and my pinky end poi between my ring finger and my pinky, like so. And it does need to be said because it'll become important later on, but specifically for doing one-handed spiral wraps, you're going to want to do a thing where you slide that thumb end poi as far down the little fold between your thumb and your index finger as possible, so that it doesn't require any real work from your index finger to keep it in place like this. Next up, counterintuitive tips that work for any spiral wrap. First among them is that by default, frequently when we get into spiral wraps, we bunch our fingers together. This actually makes it more likely that the tether is going to fall off our fingers, so try to make sure that you are spreading your fingers out as you're doing the spiral wraps. Yes, I know this is much more difficult with the one-handed spiral wraps. We will get there. Number 2, angle your wrists up rather than keeping them flat. Imagine that you are pushing open a door, so there should be a right angle between your forearms and your hands. Finally, when exiting, avoid just moving your hand around in a circle. What that'll do is it'll throw your timing off, and at least one of the poi will never come unwrapped as a result. What you want to do instead is you want to twist your wrist around in the direction that you want the poi to go. Think that as the spiral wrap is happening, you are storing up energy, and when you twist your wrist, you're releasing it. Cool, I am almost to the metro, so let's go ahead and take a trip together. And once we're done looking at enormously large flowers that smell bad, we'll go ahead and catch up and do the rest of the work on those one-handed spiral wraps. We have arrived. Apparently the story is that this one bloomed on Wednesday night and the flowers are already starting to collapse back into themselves. This one bloomed yesterday and the flowers are also starting to collapse back into themselves. Apparently at full bloom, they're meant to look a little bit more like this. Yeah, I don't smell anything, but from what a tour guide who came through here earlier said, that may be a lucky thing, because apparently it was stinking real bad last night. That was pretty cool, but we do still have a mission before I head home. So let's get on to those spiral wraps, shall we? All right, so let's get down to it. You're gonna get into your one-handed spiral wrap basically from a one-handed weave. You can either do this from a forwards weave or from a reverse weave, but the technique is basically gonna be the same. As the weave goes back and forth in front of and behind your body, you're gonna freeze your hand out in front of you and let the tethers wrap around your hand. Now, the first time you do this, something's gonna happen, namely the tethers are gonna fall off your hand. This is because you need to use those tips that we discussed earlier. You need to spread out your fingers and angle up your wrists in order to make a successful wrap happen. Now, being as how you're doing this in a one-handed kind of place, you got a little bit less latitude for getting those fingers spread apart. Here's how I'm pulling it off. Basically, I'm pinching my thumb against the side of my hand as tightly as I can, and my pinky against my ring finger pretty tight as well. My index, middle, and ring fingers are doing the bulk of the work here in terms of spreading out to make sure that the tethers wind up on my hand rather than flying off of my fingers. And of course, I'm doing the thing where I'm angling my wrist upward just slightly. It's not a huge amount, but it is enough to make a difference. If you look very carefully, whenever I wrap up the poi, you can see the palm of my hand underneath my fingers. That is part of what makes it more likely that you'll get a clean wrap out of this. And also a point of clarification, I had a student at one point ask me if it is okay if the spiral wrap goes around, say, like your wrist or even your forearm instead of around your hand. And the answer is yes, you can still make that work. But the exit part is going to be a lot more challenging. So if you can, really shoot to get those tethers around your hand. All right, so now the hard part. How do we get back out of this? Well, believe it or not, it all comes down to a quick flick of the wrist. Namely, as the poi are wrapping around your hand, you're going to imagine that you're like kind of turning a doorknob. You're twisting your wrist around with it, except this doorknob has a spring inside of it. And at a certain point, that spring is going to come unsprung. It happens right as the poi finish wrapping around your hand. And when that happens, you're going to do a really quick twist back the opposite direction to unwrap the tethers. The timing on this is really critical though. If you try and do it too soon, it's going to stop the poi from even wrapping up to begin with. If you do it too late, it's going to mean that the poi never finish unwrapping at all. You really have to wait for that moment when they are completely wrapped around and pointing in opposite directions from each other, and that's when the flick is going to work. If you wind up in a place where you're just kind of hanging out for a second, think that whichever poi is longer, you want to swing it back and forth. And when it is at that point when it's pointing away from the other poi, that's when you can throw the flick in. So it's flick to get back out and flick to get back out. Now, once you get this down going both ways, it's a good idea to practice it, going from your forwards weaves to your reverse weaves and back again. And when you get really hot shit at this, you can just go straight back and forth. This requires a lot of forearm strength, but if you can get there, it's very satisfying. Cool. So those are my best tips for getting down one-handed spiral wraps. Do you have tips that I didn't include in this video? Please let me know what they are by leaving a comment down below. Also be sure to like, share, and subscribe to help other people find this video and to help my channel grow. This video and all the videos on this channel would not be possible without my amazing supporters on Patreon. In particular, I want to give a huge shout out to my Flow patrons who are listed on screen right now. Thank you all so much for your very generous support. And if you out there watching would like to get your name in the credits or access to a host of other awesome rewards, you can do that by heading on over to patreon.com/DrexFactor Poi and signing up. Please help me out in my mission to bring poi spinning and flow arts to the whole wide world. I'll include a link down in the description as well as up in the cards. And if you're curious about spiral wraps in general, I did a video about a month ago that detailed some of my best tips for getting them down in general. I'll go ahead and leave a link to that up here on screen as well as down in the description. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to get out and flow yourselves today, and I'll see you with a new video real soon. Take care now. Peace.